Hello Mouses! Well, today's video is sponsored by the side effects on the medication that keeps me going because it causes not only hearing trouble but also balance problems. And last night the balance problems really kicked in with me managing to trip while getting into a car, grabbing the car door, slamming it into my head, knocking my head into the top of the car. So that's nice. Anyway, we've rolled the wheel of Thursday and it's come up with thoughts. So I thought I'd talk to you about what would happen if we had pensions and vampires. Now, as you're probably already aware, if you draw a pension, you've got to a certain age and you're drawing it for the rest of your life, effectively. But what happens if you suddenly become a vampire? Because pensions are designed really to last for maybe 30 years maximum, at which point you'll pop off and we won't have to pay it anymore. And that's how the pot works. We put money into the pot and everyone puts it in, and then the older people, they take a bit out of the pot because it keeps them going due to their contribution to society over their working lives. But if they become a vampire while drawing their pension, then surely they can then keep drawing it forever. And then if only put, maximum 40, 45, maybe 50 years. Once my generation gets to be old enough to be drawing a pension, they'll move it back a bit. So vampires, they're drawing it potentially forever, until someone comes out and stakes them. Because I'm assuming that vampirism isn't going to have a time limit. You're not going to get staked after 30 years just because you're drawing a pension. And that's going to cause a huge drain on the economy. Which, I know vampires don't exist, don't worry about that. But it makes me think, what about this ageing population that we've clearly got already? It's going to cause trouble, isn't it? They're going to have older and older people who are continually drawing from the pension pot. But less and less of us are putting in. So what do? Do we put time limits on pensions now? Do we set the pension age back and back further and further so only those lucky enough to last long enough to actually start drawing it can get it? Because that doesn't seem fair to me. So we've got this ageing population and the pension pot is getting smaller. So it is like we've got vampires and we're paying out for them. Because the people that are getting it are lasting longer and longer and longer, and those that are paying it are not getting as big a wage either. So this is my thought. We're clearly in a position where capitalism is starting to shake and not work as well. I've mentioned before, capitalism is a death-based economy. We can't have proper capitalism unless people with all the money are dying and then it's trickling down into the next generation. But that's not happening anymore. It's going to the top and staying there. We don't have to trickle down because the top's still there. This is a kind of big problem that we need to start dealing with, and I'm not sure what the solution is if we're going to continue with pensions as they are. It's starting to get to the point where we're going to have to consider a radical overhaul to the pension system and to the employment system and the principle of material wealth as well. It's getting to the point where capitalism isn't going to work enough for us anymore. And I think that's one of the reasons why we're seeing all of these riots that we've had in London and Manchester in the UK and the Occupy movement as well. Because wealth is being calcified and it can't, it needs to be liquefied. And before I get into too much on economics, I think the best way I can really go on with this is perhaps do a blog post about it and then come back with a video once I've got my thoughts together for it. But that is where I'm at the moment with this. The system we have is not going to work for much longer. We need to start thinking about something else. And as I've said before, we need to get to the point where we can have a needs-free society where everyone has everything they need and we don't have to fight about who's got the money to buy it, because that seems to be the only way we can deal with an ever-increasing age limit on how long people last. And that click you heard was my finger again. I seem to be falling apart. Perhaps I won't need to worry about pensions. Anyway, I've been Kirk-Robinson. You've been watching a video, and I'll see you tomorrow.